How's it going, everybody? Marvel Cross 316 back with another comic book flashback, and we are now looking at the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 25. This issue came out in June of 1965, and today we have an interesting story as Spider-Man takes on J. Jonah Jameson. J. Jonah Jameson, one of Spider-Man's biggest villains here. He's not a super villain. He's not like Dr. Octopus or Green Goblin, but Jameson does pose a threat to Spider-Man as we've seen in the past issues. So today is Spider-Man is going to be captured by J. Jonah Jameson. How is that going to work out? Well, today we're going to see just an appearance of this robot here, but also we need to go ahead and look at the cast that we have. We have Aunt May, we have Betty Brant, Liz Allen, of course Peter Parker, we have Flash Thompson, we have an appearance of this guy right here, which is Dr. Smythe and his robot, and then, of course, J. Jonah Jameson. Of course, this issue was written by Stan Lee, drawn by Steve Ditko, and the lettering by Sam Rosen. And actually, Steve Ditko came up with the plot for this issue, and I have to say, I really did enjoy just reading this issue. So let's go ahead and get started. Don't go away, because you're about to see an interesting, something different here. It's kind of like last issue. You're not going to be seeing major supervillains, but it is an exciting story. So last issue we left off with Liz Allen needing help with her homework. And so Peter Parker, being the nice guy that he is, actually helped her with her homework. But of course, there was a bigger reason why Liz Allen wanted Peter Parker to be at her house, and that was because she has a crush on Peter Parker, as we have known for the past few issues. So we see Peter Parker, he's leaving Liz Allen's house, and he needs to go back and collect the spider beam that he left on the roof ledge from last issue. And while he's doing that, he comes across these three crooks that look like they're auto thieves, and he's not really wanting to tangle with these guys. So instead, he alerts the police officer through this spider signal. And so he uses the spider signal to alert the officer so that the officer can gather these three crooks. And so by doing that, Peter Parker can take photos for the Daily Bugle so that he can sell them to the Daily Bugle for cash. So we see Peter Parker, he comes home, he works on his extra Spider-Man costume. He doesn't have a tailor, he has to do this, he has to sew and everything for himself. Then we see Peter Parker, he comes to the Daily Bugle, he gives Jameson these photos that he had just taken, and instead of, getting the rejection from J. Jonah Jameson, he brown noses J. Jonah Jameson. Now we see right here that Betty Brant does not like Peter Parker brown nosing J. Jonah Jameson for extra cash. And then we see right here the appearance of this guy. His name is Smythe. He's an inventor, and he wants to give this idea to J. Jonah Jameson that he has found the idea through this robot to beat Spider-Man. And of course, Jameson does not want any of it after having failed before with the Scorpion. But Peter Parker, seeing that he's interested in what this robot can do, convinces J. Jonah Jameson to listen to Smythe. And of course, Betty Brant does not like Peter Parker, again, sucking up to J. Jonah Jameson. So we see right here that the relationship is pretty rocky, starting with this issue with Betty Brant and Peter Parker. It's kind of been off and on for the past few issues. So Smythe finally gets the approval from J. Jonah Jameson, and he uses Peter Parker to demonstrate what the robot can do. And the robot uses its coils to tangle Peter Parker. Because remember, this robot can detect where Spider-Man's at, where his pulse is. But of course, these guys don't know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And so they get Peter Parker out of the tangled mess that he's in, and he's worried that this robot will be able to track him down soon enough. And of course, we see Betty Brant is blaming Peter Parker for setting up this robot to capture Spider-Man. Because remember, Spider-Man was the one that helped fight Dr. Octopus and save his aunt. So Betty Brant does not like what Peter Parker has done so far in this issue. And then we pick up right here, we're back at Midtown High School, and we see Flash Thompson and his friends, and he sees Peter Parker and Liz Allen walking together. And so when Liz Allen finally leaves the scene, he threatens Peter Parker and says he wants to meet up for a fight after school, and he better be there. And so Peter Parker looks like his luck is going from bad to worse. But we see right here that Peter Parker, he's jumping, not because of Flash Thompson, but he's afraid that this robot will eventually come and get him. And that's exactly what happens, as we see right here. The robot is coming to Midtown High School because he detects that Spider-Man is nearby. Peter Parker runs out of the school to change to Spider-Man, and Flash Thompson and the rest of the gang sees that Peter Parker is hightailing it. They think that Peter Parker is being a chicken, but rather he's trying to get away from this robot. And you see that Jameson is in control of this robot through remote control, and it's funny that he says, "Get out of the way, you brats." And so we see that Flash Thompson is going to try to help Spider-Man because he doesn't like Jonah Jameson. As he did remember from last issue, he helped Spider-Man capture Mysterio. He's going to try to help Spider-Man once again. And we can see the abilities of this robot. The robot can actually scale buildings like Spider-Man. And Peter Parker doesn't even have long enough chance to change to Spider-Man before this robot gets on the roof. And so from here on out, we're going to see one big goose chase between Smythe's robot and Spider-Man. And so Flash Thompson and his gang decide to help Spider-Man out, and Liz Allen is going to join along with the gang, and we can see what this robot can actually do. We can, whenever Spider-Man's close, its tentacles or coils will launch out, and you see right here, Flash Thompson's like, "Come on, guys, we gotta stop Jameson somehow." But we see right here, Spider-Man, he tries his very best to fight off this robot. His webbing does not work on this robot. And like I said, it's going to be one long chase. One long chase to capture Spider-Man. And Betty Brant tries her best to distract Jameson, but Jameson sends her out of his office, sends her home without pay because she tried to unplug the robot and its signals. And so right here we see Betty Brant. She's going to try to contact Peter Parker through phone call, but it doesn't work. And so she's going to go in a taxi cab to Peter Parker's house to tell him to stop and convince Jameson to stop trying to capture Spider-Man. But we also see Flash Thompson. He's changed his mind about helping Spider-Man, and he's going to go to Peter Parker's house so that he can track down Peter Parker for being a chicken. That's what he thinks he is. So Liz Allen is going to join along for the ride, and that's where we're going to see Liz Allen and Betty Brant meet up. And of course, they don't like each other because they both are interested in Peter Parker. So both Liz Allen and Betty Brant are going to go to Peter Parker's house. Aunt May greets them at the door, and lo and behold, they see that another girl is there as well, and that is Mary Jane. We see a cameo appearance of Mary Jane here, but this flower is getting in the way of us seeing her face. But we can say that this is really her first cameo appearance. We've seen her name being mentioned in other issues, but here we see a good silhouette form of how Steve Ditko drew her. She is considered to be very good looking, as Betty Brant says she looks like a movie star. And both Betty Brant and Liz Allen come to find out that, oh no, maybe there's another girl in Peter Parker's life that is interested in Peter Parker. So we see both Liz Allen and Betty Brant leave the Parker residence, both girls upset that Peter Parker did not tell them about this extra girl in Peter Parker's life. All of Flash Thompson's friends decide to call it quits for the day and decide to go out to eat, but Flash Thompson here decides to stay along to capture Peter Parker until he comes home. But of course, Spider-Man is Peter Parker, and Spider-Man is running away from this robot. So we see right here, we see that Spider-Man is running out of fuel. He's tired of running away from Jameson. So we see right here a standstill between Jameson and Spider-Man. And so Spider-Man is eventually captured by this robot. Seems like Spider-Man is hopeless. Is this a defeat? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So we see right here that Jameson and Smythe are going to go to the exact location where Spider-Man is captured. So they get in a taxi. They go up to the building where Spider-Man's at. And of course, through that time, Spider-Man finds the way to defeat this robot by detecting where its power source is. So he turns off the robot just enough time before Jameson and Smythe are able to get Spider-Man. Excuse me for that. So let's go ahead and see what happens next. Jameson comes to pull off the mask of Spider-Man, but we see right here that Peter Parker is right above them using his webbing to use the Spider-Man costume like a puppet. We don't know exactly how Peter Parker was able to get out of his costume and get out of the coils. That's one thing I wish that Stan Lee would have explained better, but we see that J. Jonah Jameson and Smythe are defeated once again. Jameson's not getting his way. And we see right here that Mary Jane is leaving Peter Parker's house as she's waited long enough on Peter Parker to come, but he's not there. So she'll come back another day. But once again, I think Steve Ditko draws all women the same. They have real small waist but big thighs. I don't know why he drew women that way. The police officer comes and tells Flash Thompson that he needs to leave, that he has a report that this guy has been kind of standing around Peter Parker's house. So Flash Thompson's forced to leave. Peter Parker comes back to his house after that huge victory over Jameson. But we see right here the shock of the issue. Aunt May has discovered Peter Parker's extra Spider-Man costume. So that's not good at all. Peter Parker has to come up with an excuse, and he says that he is going to use the costume to play a prank on his friends. And he says that she should not suspect that he is Spider-Man. But of course, we see Aunt May right here saying, "Oh, you silly boy, you're not Spider-Man at all." And so Peter Parker, through the skin of his teeth here, was able to get away without Aunt May finding out that he is Spider-Man. And so that's how we end issue number 25. I hope you enjoyed this issue. A lot of things, like I said, happened in this issue. A lot of drama. I'm excited to see what's going to happen next issue, in issue number 26. Hope to see you in that next comic book flashback. Go ahead, like this video, comment down below what you liked about this issue, and I will see you next time.